Hey everybody, welcome back to Chicago Reacts. My name is Michael. I'm an actor here in the city of Chicago, and I'm joined by the ever brilliant, the always talented, the one, the only. It is
Zach, also an actor here in the city of Chicago. You still thinking that's like third person for you, or two-thirds?
Also Zach. Did you say also Zach, I'm also an actor, or did you say also Zach, an actor?
I said also Zach, an actor here in the city of Chicago.
Yeah, it sounds like it sounds third person.
We're screwing with y'all. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, Michael and I are back with our good old friend Max0r, which we know you guys all love.
As do we.
Yakuza 0. This is his Yakuza 0 review. I'm kind of familiar with the Yakuza games. I've never really played them too much, but I know like what they are like.
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is actually I'm looking very forward to this actually.
Yeah.
Especially from Max0r's POV.
Yes. Yakuza 0 review. Japan Simulator.
Friday Night Fever. If you have Friday Night Fever, and as do we sometimes, check out our other channel, Chicago Reacts Movies and TV.
Yes.
We've got some awesome content there. Michael and I we should be towards the end now of our Band of Brothers series. Which was wonderful. It was our first time reacting to that.
We had a ton of fun.
It was a wild ride, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So check us out there. We watch different movies and television content as well.
Yeah, we are currently watching The Witcher Season 2, so that should be releasing shortly after probably this video drops.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to watch our full reactions to either of those series, check out our Patreon.
Full uncut.
Yeah,
Michael and I hanging out.
You can also see Hell's Reach stuff there too, which is awesome. And we are also going to be reacting to, and I think this is official, so I'm going to say it. And we're going to be reacting to the Pacific. And the reason that we are is because of our Patreon supporters who voted on what we should watch next. So if you want to have input, make sure you go to our Patreon and subscribe there as well. But today we are back with Max0r. Hey, if you're liking these videos, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else, and leave a comment in that comment section down below.
And Gold Guy 132, thanks for the suggestion.
Yes, this is suggested by
courtesy of Gold Guy
132. If you have any suggestions, make sure you leave those in that comment section down below. Thanks, Gold Guy 132.
All right,
let's see what this is all about.
Good old Gold Guy.
There are spoilers in this video. Yakuza 0 is a groundbreaking business management and unhinged violence simulator where the player is tasked with the thorough exploration.
Already the editing. I'm just like, oh my god.
It's so good.
Oh my god. We are, not 8 seconds into this.
And it's just intense.
8 seconds. And you've got minimum an hour and a half of editing there, dude.
Exploration of people's faces using your fists. In this Oriental-inspired entertainment product, it's up to you to beat dastardly criminals nearly to death, manage the economy, manage women as a pimp, do the yoinky-sploinky, grant pizza to the illiterate, and so much more. In the backdrop of a murder mystery crime drama incited by rampant real estate speculation, we play as the hard-boiled Yakuza, Kiryu Zabumafu, and Goro Meningitis as they prowl the streets of that weird city from Persona 5. Along the way, doing an excess of justified self-defense mugging to spend their ill-gotten gains on increasingly odd behavior, all in an effort to untangle a sinister power struggle taking place within the Silly Spaghetti People Club, with such esteemed members as the entire cast of Goodfellas and of Sundowner from the Metal Goose series. Of course, innocents will be caught in the crossfire. It's an inclusive game, but whether I was on the stage, getting invested in the plot, performing gentrification, or just watching literal in-game pornography, I was always held at the edge of my seat, wondering what could possibly come next. So despite the darkness and absolute certain murder, it maintains a tonal dissonance I can only describe as neck-shattering in a way that is always a breath of fresh air. With all this said and done, I invite you to enjoy the bizarre world of Yakuza 0 and the thrilling experience of its dimensional karaoke.
There's literally, you can play karaoke in the game.
Really?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I can't get over too how much the guy with glasses looks like Duxu from Squid Game. John Duxu?
Yeah.
He gives me that vibe.
Okay.
The guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
He gives me that vibe. The intensity, like the you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. John Duxu.
Yeah.
John Duxu.
To atomize people into their base particles. With 2 playable characters and 8 unique fighting styles, there is always variation. And for the blind people in my
Variation as he fucking
beat 'em up in the most literal sense possible.
Makes a shotgun blow 6 people.
Of strange characters such as goons, bikers, your own Yakuza, men in black, and Chinese men. Don't worry, these delicate hands would never kill anyone unless they don't subscribe. Ring that like button, smash the bell. We attack using a flurry of different, intricate combos to build our primordial rage meter, which we use to cause the real damage in the form of hundreds of completely absurd animations ranging from light jabs to permanent injury and certain death. The beauty in all of this is that, like the beautiful and respectable sounding Japanese language, expulsion of our death resource is context sensitive, with possibly hundreds of different, entirely unique animations, all dedicated to Kiryu's never-ending war on bones. Are you carrying a giant cone? That's an animation. Are you near a ledge on this one level? Well, not to worry. Or maybe you just have a box. Serve that shit up faster than FedEx. Every single takedown is this gratuitously violent. But don't worry, neither of our characters canonically kill anyone. We just give them lifelong disabilities that are worse than death. Since I'm feeling generous, let's talk about exactly how. Playing as Kiryu Kazoo, our fighting styles consist of the Brawler, a classic, fast-moving fighting style focused on replicating the police experience. Rush Hour, a quick attacking and dodge-heavy moveset well-suited to cowards. And Monkey Mode, which instantly adds several hundred pounds of muscle mass that you then have to drag around. It's not very good. Switching to our next character, Pirate Captain Goro Majima gives us the funky styles. As a thug, we have a wide range of generic moves and the fucking neck snapping power. I don't think they're going to get back up. As a breakdancer, yes, a breakdancer, we sacrifice takedowns for style in the most absurd and flashy way possible. And as a slugger, we cheat by pulling out the fucking baseball bat and wield it like nunchucks, letting us hit quite hard and exploit every boss in the game. He just can't do anything. On top of this, there are 2 secret fighting styles normally completely inaccessible to the player, and unfortunately the process for their acquisition is very interesting. One might say physically painful. As early as Chapter 7, you're given the business opportunity of establishing a whore monopoly, and Majima takes it with great enthusiasm. To unlock the final fighting style, we will have to run our cabaret club well enough to unseat the 5 prostitution daimyo of Japan. It'll be a fun side quest, I told myself, just like Oblivion. That's a fun game. There are many ways to run a high society cabaret club, like abuse, but a true manager of a great establishment has many factors to consider. Contrary to popular belief, all women are different, but like the caste system, all people can be classified. Our objective is to keep the customer as happy as possible by balancing our women's specializations. Some girls are cute, others are great at conversation, and some are skilled. Akina has a degree in biomedical engineering. Poor patrons, like me, have very low expectations and can be pleased with rubbing rocks together, while wealthy patrons have refined tastes like physical and mental abuse. Every employee has their limits, and it's up to you to stretch them as far as possible. Truly, we are the Bezos of cabaret. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be attending the poor people hunt. Of course, as a proper host, it's up to you to attend to every customer, whereupon things go from relaxing to batshit. Every time you wait a table, you'll receive a cryptic hand signal from the girl, which tells you what the customer desires. And if you want to please them, you better remember all of them. What the fuck are you trying to say? I don't, I'll be back with a gun. And just in case this wasn't painful, every time you go to a new table, the game will throw a fucking flashbang. So over the course of a never-ending grind, I was given the most painful migraine I will ever get in my life. This screen and this music inspire my killing urges. By the way, this game is a beat-em-up, so to conclude our cabaret adventure, our reward is the Mad Dog style, which allows you to wield a knife and sprint at fucking breakneck velocity, striking your foes like a cracked-up Doberman and unlocking takedowns that straight-up kill people. Oh fuck, that looks pretty sharp. Anyways, good luck. Playing with the knife style is absolutely an experience, one that I would never repeat ever again. So when I heard that unlocking the other secret style involved 8 hours of the real estate quest, I promptly had a PTSD attack. Kiryu is going to have to do without the poopy farto style. I have a fucking fish to feed. Take my advice. Yakuza 0 has a lot of side content, and if you happen to be a completionist, stay away, or you might just be locked in the Facebook game for 3 days. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be spending the rest of my day betting on domestic violence. You know, when I first played this game, I expected brutal combat. I expected silly takedowns, but what I didn't expect was the hour I spent with the claw machine.
I'm having a fucking blast.
I don't think I need to play pool.
Yeah,
for 3
I have heard. I think that's the one thing I remember about hearing from this game is like there's so many side quest stuff. Like you can do exactly that. You can play you can sink so many hours into doing things other than
including
your
karaoke.
quest. Yeah, like how we sink so many hours into Gwent and The Witcher.
We do.
But it's always excellent. You always have to play Gwent.
You always have to.
Hours, but they just put it in. And let me tell you, nothing sells the fictional world of Japan better than a good night on the town. So at this point, I started wondering what kind of game I was actually playing. It turns out that Yakuza 0 is a lot like reality. You always need more money, mostly for upgrades where you inject money directly into your arms and collect every vaccine. But secondarily, healthcare never comes free. So every time you take damage, you're gonna have to consume to fill the void inside. Or alternatively, carry thousands of dollars in medicine. There is no limit to juicing. It's no exaggeration to say that Yakuza's difficulty depends entirely on how much of a Sigma male you are. Kiryu might not get any pussy, but he is getting paid. You might think that beating up the homeless is the way to go, but that is for babies. If you want to make the real dough, you'll have to risk it all on gambling. More specifically, betting on scantily clad women beating each other half to death. And because of the copyright music and interesting visuals, putting this in my video represents me betting my real income. Majima, however, never has money problems because his cabaret pays him several billion yen. The entire plot of the game happens because we're fighting over 1/10 of that, so it's a shame that I lost all of it. Yes, all 10 billion of it, because I was robbed by a man with fucking orangutan strength. This is Mr. Shakedown, and if you ever encounter him, run. It doesn't matter how much you have. It doesn't matter how long you've spent getting it. If you lose to Mr. Shakedown, he will take all 10 billion of it and then disappear to somewhere. So if you want a cent of that back, you better go find him, eventually. That's pretty bad. But like all human suffering, this can become a business opportunity. You see, Mr. Shakedown is actually a form of banking. Whatever amount he robs from you, the game will add 15% more, meaning if you're up for the challenge of defeating Harambe, the returns are worth it. At least with this method, your money doesn't vanish into the void. Of course, that isn't always a bad thing. There's a lot of places to spend our money, and most of them are fun. A little too fun, actually. I don't want to have to read the fucking phone book to play some goddamn Chinese solitaire. Tabletop Simulator, never heard of it. The only game I play is Eels and Escalators. What I'm trying to say is this is a good one. My personal favorite was getting addicted to the bowling minigame and then winning the chicken, who doubles as a financial advisor. Yakuza is not meant to be questioned, and that isn't even the wackiest game. That honor goes to the phone dating, which takes the form of a shooter. Yes, like Call of Duty. To win a date with the girl of our dreams, we are going to have to pick the right responses from a wide variety of options, most of which are insane, like inviting a girl to fight a marsupial. For some reason, women don't like that. But the best possible outings lean heavily on this game's amazing soundtrack, which features a number of beautiful karaoke themes, stylish disco tracks, and stellar emotional ballads. I am, of course, talking about the karaoke and the dancing, which are both incredible in their style and creativity. They are so out there, so truthful, and sound so good that I just couldn't get enough of it. In short, they're everything a dance should be. This scene tells me more about Majima than an entire Hideo Kojima script. Kiryu has never killed anyone, but let me tell you, this man knows how to murder a dance floor.
This is awesome. This is absolutely
Yes.
That was sick.
And yet, that's not even half the fun, because Yakuza 0 contains an array of interesting, meaningful, and necessary side quests, which allow the player to engage in a variety of small stories, ranging from pizza delivery to replacing a phone battery. That one's a little boring. You can even roleplay as a Persona fan by following a child around the city. Often, these quests will have entirely unique fights and challenges, accompanied by complex moral judgment and logic puzzles. In one instance, I was given the task of infiltrating the cult of Munan Chohept Onas, whereupon I had to learn the practice of Shurapipi, the acquisition of Kulipos, and the greeting of Munancho, at which point the game tested me on their exact definitions. I promptly beat their leader to death. In another instance, Kiryu teams up with the famous movie director Steven Spinning, known for his hit film Indian Jeans, to complete a music video with famous international pop star Miracle Johnson. I was hired to beat the extras to death. Now that I think about it, every side quest ends with a trip to the hospital, except for the pizza one. That ends in love. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. This stands in stark contrast to the actual plot of the game, which is played completely straight. Taking everything I've said before into account, you might think this is weird, and sometimes it is. One day, you might be saving a helpless blind woman, and the next, abandoning her so you can play Idolmaster for several days. I'm sure that she'll be just fine. But funny anecdotes aside, there is an abundance of real drama and emotion here. Of all the things I expected this game to be, sad was not one of them. Neither did I expect a believable love story or the murder mystery. This game is downright determined to constantly surprise you, even if it has to stop making sense. In Majima's story, we are sent to kill a buff Chinese man before fighting him, teaming up with him to save the innocent, and then fighting him again, but I changed my mind. This exact arc happens with 3 separate characters, and that's just Majima's story. In fact, despite the game being called Yakuza 0, Kiryu leaves the family in Chapter 1. Then he fucking rejoins it. Every antagonist has so much goddamn personality that you just don't know when you're gonna be friends with them. Every man is vying for power and control, but each does it for their own distinct reasons. Wano is a Genshin Impact player who only desires money and women. Kuze is a boxer who wants to fight a lot. Shibusawa is obsessed with power, and Nishitani is the Joker. Enemies become friends, friends become enemies, and Kuze will not leave me alone. The only character who's actually not interesting is essentially Chinese Spider-Man.
Like, who's gonna
Holy shit, whose defining feature is that he's ugly. Unless you play the Chinese version of the game, then he's weirdly handsome and also on the cover. But even when playing in the most serious of circumstances, the game still catches you off guard. A tense deal with a Yakuza boss can change seemingly at random into a ridiculous combat encounter fighting 90 enraged
That's
Majima,
Matrix.
a visit to the CIA becoming a fever dream in which you have to fight the buff cross-dressers. The game cares more about good gameplay and fun story than actually making sense. It's quite refreshing. When Yakuza gets serious, it really means something, and when it's being silly, it's absolutely cathartic. Everything has impact, unless it's a gun. We haven't killed anyone, by the way. All in all, Yakuza is more true to life than any other game I've ever played. Not by making sense or being realistic, but emotionally. At the beginning of this game, Kiryu is just kind of a cool buff guy, but after exploring his friendships, seeing him have fun, and just interacting with people, I realized that this is much more. So when things take a bad turn and we're at our lowest point, you really feel it, more than almost any other game. Yakuza is about life, with all the beautiful ecstasy, awful tragedy, and everything in between. Fights are never just fun in Yakuza. They can be comedic, cathartic, or just really goddamn cool. Activities make you feel like a part of the world, and every cutscene is filled with emotion and personality. When I first played, I thought that Yakuza was all over the place, that it was somehow messy. But now I realize that life is fucking messy, and that's okay. I want to thank all of the Yakuza bosses who are using my channel to launder money, kind of like a pizza joint in New York City. If you want to contribute towards the channel and facilitate all of our questionable activities, then I recommend taking a look at
Yes.
Yeah, wow. I like what he said at the end, like about kind of like a more metaphorical look at the game and its like relationship with life, and that totally. I like what he said too about like at first when I played the game, it was like messy and seemed didn't seem like it had a good sense of direction or focus, and oftentimes that can lead to poor gameplay. But because the story warms up, gets more intense, and like it does seem like something where you start to fall in love with the universe and the characters. And it becomes an experience that as a whole is just awesome.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of GTA.
Sure,
in the way that like there's so much you can do, but like GTA where you want to do the little games, you know, because like when you play tennis, it's not fun in GTA, or like it's
neat. It's like novel the first time you do it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's so cool they built this into the game, and then you're like, okay, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah,
but with this, it seems like all of those little aspects just add to the depth of the world.
And the character.
And the
like
character,
I thought that the coolest thing that Max0r said at the end too is like how you build this really unique relationship with these two protagonists that you're playing. It's kind of like similar to like when you're playing Mass Effect and you get closer to your side characters, the more you get to know them, the more missions you go on with them. But like the moments that make everything so memorable are the little in-betweens. Like I still remember in Mass Effect the scene where Shepard's sniping with Garrus.
Oh yeah, that's like
right?
such famous.
Right.
And again, I mean, I think that is exactly why the character, or like the Mass Effect series, is good, is because you fall in love with the side characters. And this game seems to have a similar aspect of like the side characters are so memorable,
right,
and emotional, and your relationship with them changes, so you're intrigued at like what's going on.
And it does it in a very like different interactive way, where you're taking these characters who 1 second you're beating the shit out of people, fighting with a knife while running at 100 miles an hour toward people, and then the next you're dressing up and playing a karaoke or dance game, and there's no, in my honest opinion, I don't know of any other games like that deliver so strongly on the story as well as the side content, but the side content is just so different that it does, it like changes your whole perception of the characters, the game, the storyline as it progresses even. It's really cool. It's really freaking cool. And I would 100% play a Yakuza 0, and I would get lost in it, guaranteed. It would be an hour suck for sure.
Yeah. I almost found this one of the most intriguing reviews that Max0r has done.
Yeah.
I think because it had like a very philosophical ending to it. Like it sort of grounded itself at the end, which was fun.
Yeah. Really fun.
Obviously that's a reflection of the game too, but I think that's why, you know. But I thought that was cool. Like it felt very different than some of the other reviews that Max0r's done.
Yeah, I think it mostly has to deal with his game, but I with the game Yakuza 0 itself. But what I also thought was really cool is it was also one of those rare games where it beautifully matches his editing style, his approach to it.
I was gonna say
with his humor too.
Yeah, like being able to pull so much from like the music, and obviously like I just was really appreciating the different like footage that he was able to find and grab. And obviously it's coming from gameplay and like stuff that Max0r's done, but I think like just kudos to editing a really compelling story out of, you know, found material. Which isn't new, but I just like I really thought the editing was great.
I mean, as always with if I had to make a top 10 list of editors that I've seen, Max0r would, and through this channel and getting to know Max0r with all of you guys, like he's one of the best editors I've ever seen in terms of style and how much he puts into that. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, and he pulled, like, he doesn't create clips. You know, some of the other people that we like to watch create stuff with, you know, like sort of VFX suits or like 3D tracking suits and stuff like that, which is awesome, by the way. Like some of the funniest stuff is Soviet Womble being Russian Badger, being characters, like, and that's hilarious. But I think it's interesting, like Max0r hasn't done that to my knowledge. But is still able to really do some cool things. So, Yeah. Also, just want to say again, thank you, Gold Guy 132, for the suggestion.
Yeah,
we obviously had a blast reacting to this video. We hope you did too. If you did, hit that like button and maybe subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our other videos. Leave a comment in that comment section if you want us to react to anything else.
Yeah. Check out other stuff. You got some time, and we've got so much different stuff to check out, to be entertained by, and especially if you so happen to like Mike. So
yeah. With that, we'll see you next time on Chicago React.